Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. I'm your host Blake Rasmussen, and we this week have the first of 3 preview shows focused on Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy. And to help us reveal a bunch of stuff today, a ton of stuff, we have 2 guests fresh off the plane from PAX East, Gavin and Daniel Holt, and we are going to cover a bunch of stuff today. We've got main set previews, we've got commander decks to talk about, we've got promos, we got starter kits. We're just gonna talk about some Final Fantasy stuff. So that's what we're gonna do the whole time. You guys excited?
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited.
How was PAX East for you two?
It was so good. I mean, being there and finally doing the debut panel was just incredible. You know, we've worked on this stuff for so long, 4 years, 5 years, depending on who you are, and like just being able to finally get up on stage, show off cards, be unfettered, and just talk about stuff was amazing. Plus, like the room was totally full, the line capped. It was like the love for Final Fantasy was so huge.
Yeah, the energy was great. People were dressed in cosplays. That was great. I know there was like an Angelo dog even in the front row. It was so cute. Yeah, it was just great energy.
Yeah, and well, if you like the energy of Final Fantasy at a convention, perhaps we have a convention for you.
Nice.
Look at that!
Wow,
Boom,
Gavin's doing my job for me, but he's right. We are going to talk a little bit about MagicCon before we jump into the Final Fantasy. So the MagicCon Las Vegas panel schedule has just been announced like right now. You aren't aware of it. It probably just dropped. So head to the website to see what's in store for attendees on the Mana Stage, Showcase Room, and Community Panel Room. There's going to be a ton of cool stuff there, and it's up right now. Find out more about MagicCon Las Vegas there. And then MagicCon Atlanta news as well. The early bird badges are going on sale this Thursday. There we go. May 15th at 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Early bird pricing is going to be available until May 23rd or while supplies last. To learn more about MagicCon Atlanta, you can head to magic.gg to check out that particular announcement. All right.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be at Atlanta. I'm not going to be in Vegas, unfortunately. But we are here today, and we've got all kinds of cool stuff to show off. I think we're going to start with a little bit of the theme of today's show. And we're going to reveal our one, well, we kind of have 2 main set previews, but our main set preview. Gavin, do you want to give a little set the stage here?
Okay, so we talked about this work on the set for a long time, right? The first talk started in 2020, and we've been designing it for a while. But there's a funny thing about working on a set for so many years, which is sometimes in the world of Final Fantasy, a new game will come out in the middle of making your set. So we knew that 16 was on the horizon, and during the development cycle, we saved a few spots in the set for Final Fantasy 16. And then when the game came out, the whole team, Daniel, Zakil, Dylan, I, whatever, we had a chat where we were playing through 16 and talking about what was happening and trying to figure out what we could get into the set, right? Ooh, this would be cool, this would be cool, this would be cool, and playing through it. And we got a lot of people in the set. You saw Clive, for example, at the preview panel, which is the hero, the protagonist. But we also had to get the villain into the set, right? And so the villain is this character, Ultima, who like kind of drains the lands. He turns them into what's called like blights. So he just like totally drains the mana out of the lands. And we're talking, and it's like, well, that sounds like something we could do in Magic very easily. So let's go ahead and put Ultima up here on the screen. You'll see what's kind of going on. This is a very unique rare. It's cool for all you colorless fans. So Ultima is a 5-mana 4/4 flyer, and whenever it attacks, it puts a blight counter on a land, which turns it essentially into a waste. So it loses all of its land types and only taps for colorless mana. Maybe you want to put it, mess with your opponent's mana. You could do that. But maybe you want to put it on your own lands because whenever you tap a land for colorless, you add an additional colorless. So a really awesome colorless commander because it just basically doubles all your mana, which is wild. Or you can play it fairly in a deck and you have some colorless lands already. You put it on your lands. The other thing that I want to call out that's really cool and actually worked out so perfectly is so we knew 16's on the horizon and we have this plan. We have we're going to do a different basic land for every game, right? So each game's going to get a basic land. So when you look at 15, well, that divides evenly by 3, so it's like great. But then we're like, oh, what are we going to do for 16? Oh no, right? And then we play the game, and there's this character that drains mana from lands, and we're like, Waste? That's perfect. Waste. And Ultimate has to do with Waste. So we did put Waste into the set. So Waste will be in the format. Not that you really probably want to, but unless you're playing an Ultimate deck for some reason, but in Standard, but you couldn't play it in Standard. And it is there in the packs. I just love that we are giving you a cool, awesome Wastes for all you out there who play this in your Commander decks or what have you. Now you have an awesome full art Final Fantasy Waste you can get your hand on. It's a cool little nod. It won't show up that often. 1 in every 16-ish packs or whatever, but you got it if you want to play your Ultimate Waste deck, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Waste Standard legal again.
Yeah, there it is, finally. Now, before we go any further, I'm curious. Blake said there was a theme around our preview cards. I'm not going to tell you what the theme is, but I'm curious, based on the cards you just saw, if you can figure it out. I doubt you'll be able to, but you can drop in the chat if you think you cracked it. We'll get to the next one in a few minutes.
Now, we do have the Booster Fun versions of Ultima as well, if we can put those up. So there's the regular version on the left there, the borderless woodblock in the middle, and the extended on the right. So you can get borderless woodblocks. Those come in play boosters or collector boosters, so you can pick that up kind of whatever boost you're getting. And then extended, of course, as usual, come in collector boosters only. But you'll be able to find that middle woodblock one, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, the woodblock cards are
the woodblock cards are amazing. Yeah.
It's funny, so when I was working on the set, every day I boot up our file here at Wizards and I look through all the cards in the main set, right? I'm tweaking them and adjusting them and whatever. But I never think to click over into the Booster Fun cards. And one day I ran a search on accident, pulled up all the Booster Fun cards, and I just incinerated an hour and a half of my life,
just
going
staring,
through, looking at how pretty they all are. They really turned out amazing. So hats off to the whole Booster Fun team.
Yep, absolutely. All right, now we are going to move into a section on promos. So we're going to talk about a bunch of play and event and other kind of promos that'll be available over the coming months in various forms or fashion. Some of these are cards that you've already seen that are in the main deck. Some of them were in the debut. A couple of them are new. Some of them are reprints. It's a whole thing. It's a mishmash. And the article talking about promos will go up tomorrow. There's a couple other previews that are being waited on. But we'll talk through them today, and then you can see all of the details on Daily MTG tomorrow for all of our promos. So let's kick things off with the Buy a Box promo.
Yeah, so this is a card I'm very excited about. This is a cool little twist on a board sweeper, something we've never quite done before. And if you guessed this as the theme...
Nope, no, that's not the card we're going on yet.
Oh, that's not the card?
Nope, almost. Buy a Box promo is a commander card.
Out of order.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Well, we'll get there.
Not a board sweeper, yeah.
Perfect. Not a board sweeper, but I'm teasing you a little bit. Herald's Horn. Look at this cute little guy. He can sweep a board, but he's not going to. He's instead going to discount your spells. And look for stuff with creature types. It is a nice classic from Commander 2017. Yep. With a cute Moogle on it.
You can call Moogle as the creature type too.
You can. That is the thing you can do.
That is the thing.
Yep. You'll note that this does have the Commander logo and the FIC code. So this is not in Standard. This is a Commander Eternal Legal card.
Yep. Absolutely. But it's just a great, cute little Herald's Horn for your deck. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So if you buy a box of Final Fantasy, you'll get a Herald's Horn with it.
Perfect.
At participating stores. All right, next up we have Commander Party. So Commander Party are cool events that we run at local game stores. These promos are going to be, there's two promos. These are going to be given out June 20th through 26th or July 18th through 24th. Check with your local game store. First up, we see Culling Ritual here.
Yeah, and I love that even on these promos, we still, if you notice, in the bottom left-hand corner have the game it's from. So if you're like, oh, where did this promo come from? Don't worry, we got you covered. And yeah, this is just a nice little black-green sweeper. Here's a sweeper.
This is a sweeper, not the one you were talking about.
Yeah. We found a sweeper. And yeah, it's turned into quite the commander card too. So pick that one up for your Commander Party.
Yep. Note on this and our next card, if you play at a WPN premium store, these Commander Party promos will come in traditional foil. If you play at another store that's not a premium store but is still a WPN store, they'll be non-foil. It's one of the perks of being a premium WPN store. All right, and let's see our second Commander Party card, also not in the main set, but a very cool reprint. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, speaking of efficient removal, here's a nice one, and this goes into tons of commander decks. So for Commander Party, makes sense as a great promo to pick up to spark them.
Yeah.
Shout out to 14 fans out there.
Yeah, little 14 nod. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous how these turned out.
All right. Oh, chat's all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're feeling all the feelings here.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do love how many cards in our set are like, well, here's just a nice little reprint. Like the commander decks are a great example.
Yep.
Here's a nice little reprint. Also, please cry now. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of what happens with some of these cards. So,
Yep.
Even the wastes earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even the waste. Even the waste.
Oof.
All right. Next up, we have a cool event promo that is a reprint, but yeah.
Yeah. Here's a card that many of you competitive commander players might particularly be excited about, or maybe you just want to have a 0 mana cost card in your command zone. It's Joshua Rosefeld as Rograk, son of Rograk. So the 0 mana, 0/1 first strike menace trample partner, quite powerful in the command zone, and just I mean the full art on this is just so gorgeous.
That art really pops with minimal text.
And it's a nice little nod to 16. So we got 16 spread out not only in the main set, but snuck in a few other places too. I think we previously showed off a Yoshimaru promo as Torgal as well.
Yep.
So you can pair these up if you want to.
Yeah. As for what events you'll be able to get this card at, so this will be available at Command Fests. You'll learn more about it in that article that comes out tomorrow on May 14th. But yeah, a lot of people are already planning on how they can pick this up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Now going on to our next cards. If you look Final Fantasy VII, there's two main characters. I think I have them right now. Yes.
Yes.
There's two main characters. Good.
Gavin's back on track. All right, here we go.
There's two main
And they're going
characters.
to sweep the board.
No, these are not going to sweep the board. These will sweep your opponent's face. Let's take a look at them up here on screen. Two of the Final Fantasy VII's main characters here as Pro Tour qualifier promos. We've got Tifa, boom, ready to smash your opponent's face in. As Yanni Skalnick said in design, any card that kills your opponent on turn 3 with a fetch land and Titanic Growth should be a card that you consider. And this card certainly does it.
And this one is going to be available for competitors in Pro Tour qualifiers that are at MagicCon Las Vegas. So at MagicCon Las Vegas is going to have a number of Pro Tour qualifiers. If you play in one of those events, you can get this card in a non-foil. And if you are a top finisher at one of those PTQs, you can get this in a traditional foil.
Then you couldn't have Tifa without having another character in Final Fantasy VII. That, of
Obviously.
course, is Aerith.
I think they're going to love this next art. Yep.
With a chair.
So Aerith is, if you participate in a Pro Tour qualifier in the October 11th through November 23rd season, again, non-foil for competitors, top finishers can get a traditional foil.
Very cool. I mean, love that we got these two iconic
Oh yeah,
characters.
chat's all about this.
Yeah, these promos are awesome. Final Fantasy VII lovers are gonna
Yep.
love the nods. I mean, these are a little specific scenarios from the games here, but it's a great moment for Aerith.
Very
so
fan favorite moment.
Very
for
fan
sure.
favorite moment for sure. This is an awesome promo.
And a fantastic card.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Now is it time, Blake.
Now,
Now is it time.
Now, Gavin. All right, so
All right, let's set the stage.
set the stage, Gavin.
So remember, let's go back to the long time of 7 minutes ago when I was trying to see if you could guess the theme. So it's a really unique board sweeper with something that we've never quite done before that has a lot of very interesting use cases. Now, of course, this card does appear in the main set. It is a new card, but it's not one that you have seen before. And this is one that definitely might get your brain moving. So let's put, if you guessed the theme correctly, Ultima up here on the screen. Now, Ultima is also a spell in the set because that's just how it's named. So this is a board sweeper, blows up all artifacts and creatures, and then also ends the turn. So you might be wondering, why do I want to do that? Why do I want my turn to be over? Well, a few interesting things. First of all, I make sure that all of the dice triggers don't go off. So you get to clean the sweep without any dice triggers happening on anything. So that's pretty nice. But there's also a number of tricks you can do with this card. For example, this doesn't have the if you cast it on your turn restriction. So if you can give this flash somehow, you can actually sweep your opponent's turn and time walk it.
Yeah.
So there's some pretty wild stuff you can do with this. But it's a nice way to make sure your opponent doesn't get their dice triggers, or you just get to clear off the turn before your opponent has a chance to do something in your end step potentially or whatever. Maybe you don't want them to be able to flash in a creature. Well, you cast this, no creature's getting flashed in. The turn's going to end right. It's going to blow everything up. The turn's going to end. But especially if you can give this thing flash, there's some fun little stuff you can do there. So
Yeah.
this is here. This is the promo version. You will find a main set version with some flavor text that I think you'll enjoy. I won't tell you what it is, but some flavor text I think you'll enjoy in the main set. And this is for Standard Showdown, right, Blake?
Yes, so Ultima is going to be Standard Showdown events taking place June 13th through 24th. Check with your local game store for more details on that. The actual, so there's 2 cards. There's this and the next one we're going to show, and then the winner will get one of the 2. But yeah, Ultima you can pick up in the main set. Yeah, my mind goes to a lot of places with that card. I mean, even something as simple as the creatures that come back as enchantments just don't.
Yep. Right, get them out of here. Enduring what?
Not enduring at all. Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting card in Standard.
Also, the fact it catches all artifacts too is a little nod above some board sweepers, right? You can get rid of in Commander. You sweep everyone's like random mana rocks or whatever powerful artifacts they have lying around. And constructed formats, 60 card. There's always some equipment maybe lying around or whatever. You can just clean all those up, get them off the battlefield. So quite a nice sweeper.
All right. Okay, next up is our second Standard Showdown promo, Squall.
Yeah, so we saw this card at the debut. We showed it off, but not quite like this. You got Squall and Renoa in the artwork together. Aw. Maybe not as much of a loner as the mechanics might suggest, or whatever, So yeah, but this card's great. It hits, it lets all your stuff hit with double strike if they attack alone, and then when he hits, perhaps with double strike, you to bring 2 things back. So cool little white-black card there, and yeah, just a nice promo version for Standard Showdown.
Yep. And again, Standard Showdown, you'll get one of the 2 if you win. Also, coming to a local store near you, are store championships taking place June 28th through July 20th. Again, check with your local game store for more details on that. But we've got 3 different promo cards for that. The first for participants, then a top 8, and then a winner. So let's take a look at Kind of Preordained, Prophetic Beginning.
Oh, that's a cool preordain right there.
So cool.
I mean, it's a staple in where it's legal. Shows up in Cube, nice 1-mana cantrip, but once again, the full art treatment. And the thing I really like too is this is a FF1 card, right? So where do things start? Final Fantasy 1, 4 heroes overlooking what's going on. A great fit for a preordain, and a card called Prophetic Beginning too.
Yep, so that is the participation. If you participate in a store championship, you will pick up this version of Preordain. If you make the top 8, you will get our next promo. Actually, the one on the right, so the Death's Shadow, Diabolos. And then for winning, you get a traditional foil. Both of these are traditional foil. So top 8 is the Death's Shadow. The City of Brass is for the winner. And what are these in Final Fantasy?
Yeah, we've got Diabolos and Bergerbuff, Floating City. I think it's cool that we're giving out some iconic cards here with Final Fantasy flavor. So if you want to, put a little bit of Final Fantasy in your deck, so you have the option to. And frankly, I'm happy to just have more copies of City of Brass floating around. So that's a nice one to be able to pick up. Deal some damage to you to bring your life total down for the Death Shadow.
Oh yeah,
maybe, they go together.
It's a long route to get there, but Death Shadow has some roots in this set. I'm a big Death Shadow fan, so Cecil, a card we saw previously, is kind of my take on a new Death Shadow. Well, here's the original Death Shadow.
Absolutely. All right. So those are the promos we are revealing today. Again, there will be an article going up tomorrow, May 14th, that will walk through all of the promos, including some that we weren't able to show today. Those are going to go up on dailymtg.com, so check that out. Next up, we are going to spend some time talking about the starter kits.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
I'm excited to start with the starter kits.
Let's talk about starter kits.
So Final Fantasy, Universe Beyond, a lot of folks, we saw this even at PAX last weekend, a lot of folks who love Final Fantasy want to come check Magic out, right? Yep. And the starter kits are the perfect place to do that. So of course we knew we wanted a starter kit for people to come in, grab, and be able to start playing. So this is the exact right thing, right? If you have a friend who loves Final Fantasy and they're hearing about this Magic thing and want to come check out the collaboration, grab them one of these. It's a fantastic product, and shout out to Ellie Rice, who did a great job on the designs here.
Yep. So we're going to show off the new cards that are specific to the starter kits. Now, these are legal in all formats as well, right?
Yes.
As if they were in the main set, correct?
Yep, these are legal everywhere. There's a handful of new cards. So Sephiroth and Cloud right here. There's, as you've seen so far, there are several Sephiroths and Clouds. There's ones in the Commander decks, ones in the booster packs, main set. But also, we thought for the starter kit, Cloud versus Sephiroth. I mean, that's a pretty good enticing way to come in and play. And these are these cards might be starter deck face cards, but they are not fooling around either. That Sephiroth is like a little masker worm that gets big, and Cloud is an awesome equipment card. So I know even when we showed these cards months ago, people were excited about them.
Yep.
But these aren't the only new cards in the decks.
They aren't. Let's start with Cloud's deck, the red-white deck, and let's take a look at Beatrix Loyal General.
Yeah, so big Final Fantasy IX fan right here, and Beatrix is so cool. She's got an eye patch. She fights. She's awesome, and
she has a sword too,
and a sword. But I just remember seeing her in Final Fantasy IX. It's like this really cool character. And she's just like so awesome. We couldn't get her in the main set. We were like, she was going to fall out of the main set a little bit. But then we talked and we decided, what about if we were able to put her in the starter deck, which wants to do stuff with equipment anyway, which made a lot of sense for her character. So we put it in here, and it just auto snaps on all your equipment, which is pretty cool. And even though this is a great starter deck card, what I love about it is it's very easy to figure out. Oh, you're playing equipment that snaps everything on. That's cool. But some of these cards do have uses. Like I can imagine putting this card in Commander, right? It's not just for starter decks. You can take this out or Cloud, Sephiroth out and put them in your Commander deck or even your casual constructed like 60 card deck as you're starting. So these are kind of cool little cards we have to make here.
Yeah. Next up, let's meet Rosa Resolute White Mage.
Yeah, so y'all speak for Dylan here, who was the creative lead on this set. He loves Final Fantasy IV, absolutely loves it, and he really wanted Rosa, and we're like, well, this is a great place to put her in. Just a little bit of a buffing every turn, so puts a counter on something every turn and giving it lifelink, and then also the fabled White Reach. You don't see that every day, but one of her things is she is an archer. Among other things. You don't see it on the type line there because kind of our rules, you get 3 types plus legendary creature. You only get up to 5, and we wanted to keep human, cleric, and noble. She's like a cleric archer, pretty cool character. But the reach is kind of the like, hey, this character has a bow, so pay attention here. Got to get her in the set here.
All right, and then another card with a fairly iconic sounding name. We've got Judgment Bolt.
Boom, yeah, so this got some Final Fantasy 16 kicking out in here. Here is Sid. Now, you might have seen all 15 Sids the other day. But Sid in this game loves casting Judgment Bolt. So something you get to do, and just bam, deals 5 damage plus a little bit extra for your equipment. So a little nod to 16 here.
Next up, we've got Lightning Security Sergeant.
Yeah, so we saw the main set Lightning. This is the starter deck version of this card. 3 mana, 2/3. That just bottles your top card when you hit them. Nice little source of card advantage here.
You said bottles. Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. So internally, we call this effect bottling after, of course, as I'm sure you all know, the card Elkin Bottle.
As you all know, Elkin
Bottle.
Bottle.
The card
that
Elkin
card
Bottle.
from 1994. You're all aware.
Yes. So you flip over your top card and cast it this turn. I tried to get Chandra to stick, but it never did. So impulsive draw, maybe that's what some people call it.
Yeah.
One thing you want to call it between these two cards that you'll see throughout the set, which I think is nice, is you'll notice that in the extended art version, it drops the reminder text. That's what happens on our extended art cards. And some cards actually picked up room for flavor text. So you see this not only here in the starter deck, but also there are a number of main set cards that do this as well. So keep your eye out for some kind of cool bonus flavor text hiding out on these.
Yeah, and the note here on the extended as well is those are found in collector boosters. So it's not like the extended is found in the starter deck. The starter deck has the version on the left, the regular, and then the extended can be found in collector boosters.
Yeah.
All right, and then our final card from the red-white deck, we have our theme for the day, Ultima Weapon.
I know you love Ultima, so here we go. This card is very reminiscent of Argentum Armor, if you all remember that card. We just wanted a big thing that could close out the game, and huge equipment, looks awesome. Often for a starter deck, it's like, let's make some cards that you're just, if you're a Timmy or Tammy player, your inner giant spellcaster will get excited. And this looks so awesome. Plus, you have like Beatrix in play, you free snap it onto your creature, you're good to go.
Yeah.
A lot of
Equip
7.
7+7, cost 7.
Hey, what game is it from?
I can't read the bottom from here. I'm guessing 13?
Yeah, the answer is Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
So you figured it out.
Yep. Chat's noting a lot of the flavor text is 7 words. It's great.
7.
As intended.
As intended. All right, let's take a look at the blue-black deck new cards, and we've got our first card, Ultimecia, Temporal Threat.
Yeah, so I'm a big 8 fan, and we got another Ultimician. We got the uncommon one in the main set that you saw that takes another turn. Here is the starter deck version. Taps all your opponent's creatures, so you're free to attack. And then, you're free to attack? Well, how about we come in and draw some cards too? Notably, this is for each creature that hits them. It's not the like one or more treatment, so you can draw a bunch of cards off this thing. In a starter deck context, one thing we always try and design in is ways for the game to end. If people are just like, I don't know how to attack each other, attacking, blocking is tough. Well, you cast this, pretty easy way to make the game end. But even outside of that context, this card might have some nice legs as a coastal piracy slapped onto a creature. So.
Yeah. All right, next up we have Deadly Embrace.
Here's another 16 concept for you. So we wanted to try and, like I said, get some of these in, especially as the newest game. We thought it'd be fresh in people's minds. So put some 16 cards in both decks. So this kills something off, then picks you up at least one card, maybe more if you do it right. So
yeah. All right, and then Seymour Flux.
Yeah, so Seymour is a character from Final Fantasy X. We saw his commander card yesterday, but here is the starter deck Seymour. Every turn, it picks up a card and gets a little bit bigger. So teaching you even early that, hey, it's sometimes losing life, draw cards, an
Not so
okay
bad.
deal. We did make this a May ability. We often don't do that on black cards, but we decided for the starter deck experience, just like some people really don't want to deal damage to themselves, so we're not forcing you to do it. But I recommend paying the left to draw a card.
You do it anyway.
Yeah,
full sense.
you will learn you should be paying a left to draw a card.
All right, next up we have Zandy Dark Mage.
Yeah, now this is a throwback to the pixel era of games right here. But we wanted to get Zandy in. So this is a 4-mana 3/3 menace that gets bigger for all your non-creature, non-lands in your graveyard. So it can get quite big, and it's a nice, once again, way to close out the game in this deck. Right, the game goes long, you play this, it's going to be huge, and it kind of just shows you, how you can build your deck in cool ways. Ooh, we got some small spells rolling around. Great, this is going to make a big creature fast. So a little Final Fantasy pixel era villain for you.
All right, and then our final card from the starter kit, we have, I was already pronouncing the name of the card, Magitech Scythe.
Yes, this card is a test of your reflexes for all of you Final Fantasy XIV fans. We knew we had to get that on this card somewhere. Absolutely knew we had to get it on, and we got it on. So this is an equipment in the villain deck that snaps on and really forces you to test those reflexes. See if you can deal with the creature before it comes in and has the force block happen to eat your creature. After that, on subsequent turns, it's just a nice +2/+1 equipment. So kind of come in, you probably kill off your opponent's creature, and then a permanent pump effect. And yeah, featuring Xenos right there. So nice little nod for all you 14 fans.
You get one guess what chat's saying right now.
A test of your reflexes.
it
Yeah. One thing I'll say from a design perspective is we learned really early on it was fun to have quotable things in the set because it's just so fun, right? You play the card and you say the quote or whatever. There's a few I can't tell you about quite yet, but like there's a couple things I put in the set specifically because I knew that would be fun to say. And a test of your reflexes is like that is perfect. Like that is what you expect. So there's some great flavor text and quotes all throughout the set, and a huge hats off to the creative team. Dylan and the whole team did an amazing job on this.
Yeah. All right, now we are going to move on to Commander. So Daniel's not just a pretty face. He's here to share some information. So we did, if you're paying close attention and you looked at the Where to Find article, it listed originally that Commander decks were supposed to be revealed on our YouTube channel yesterday. We ran into a few technical issues. Those videos are coming. They're great. But we wanted to stick to our schedule, and so we posted the Commander deck lists. But what that means is they've kind of gone up without a ton of context around them.
Yeah,
So
if you were on the internet at all yesterday, they're up.
they're up, yeah.
And all 100+ new cards.
A lot of new cards.
But we just happened to have Daniel here. And Daniel, talk about your role with these decks.
Yes, I was the lead game designer for the Commander decks. As Gavin mentioned, we've been working on these for years. I remember taking over in September 2022 to give that context there. And these 4 decks, we picked 4 games to dive deep on. So when you buy the deck, it's entirely that game. So it was just a lot of fun to go deep. If you saw the panel, Dylan creatively talks about the tier system that we use for like tier 1, everyone knows this character. Tier 2, you probably remember that, and then tier 3 are the deeper cuts. These commander decks got to do those deeper cuts. It was just so much fun kind of concepting what we could put in these decks, and I think I got a few exciting ones to show today, and if you saw those lists, you probably saw a couple as well of your favorite moments.
And if you missed them, we're not going to show off every new card today, because again, originally this wasn't meant to be a reveal of anything.
You'll have 2 hours, right?
We do not have 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe one day. We'll see. I don't have a meeting till 11:30. We're great. But we're going to talk through all of them. We're going to talk through sort of the themes and the big beats, and then some of your favorite cards. So we are going to start with the deck based around Final Fantasy VI, featuring Terra Herald of Hope on the front. So tell us about this deck.
Yeah, we'll go in number order here. This is Final Fantasy VI. This story takes place in kind of 2 parts. So the beginning is like your typical battle against the Empire and Kefka leading there. But then Kefka wins at the end of that, which is the end of, quote, Act 1. So in Act 2, the world is at ruin, all magic is back, and your party is scattered across the world, and it is up to Terra and Celis and all of her friends to gather the party back together to go fight Kefka. And that's really what this deck is focused on. So that's what Terra here does with her trance ability to fill up your graveyard, to give herself evasion, and then when she connects with your opponent, you pull a party member back to the field and continue your fight.
All right, so let's take a look at some of the cards from this deck.
Yeah, so the first few cards are kind of the Reanimate package because, speaking of Reanimate, specifically there in the middle, we had to take a different creative approach here. We had to find cards that your party's not dead. Like they're just scattered. Like you're getting them back together. So Yanni was the vision lead before me and Gavin took over respectively. And he pitched this idea of a Reanimator deck. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So you got like Reanimate. This is not someone coming back to life. It's Kefka reanimating the statues that triggered everything. Rise of the Dark Realms is that moment at the very end of the game where your whole party's together. They're rising to go fight Kefka. I pitched this to Dylan. I was like, I want every character on this card going to that fight. And then on the left, we did to make some new cards like Rejoin the Fight, which, you mill 3 cards. Then each opponent gives you one of your characters back. And with 1 card, you get 3 party members right away to the battlefield.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then let's see, Coin of Fate.
I wanted to talk about Coin of Fate because Alexander Smith was on my team for a while, and he pitched this card as the story moment of Edgar and Sabine deciding who stays to be the king and who gets to go off on a journey. He pitched Monarch right away, so you'll see some other Monarch cards in this deck. They're mostly there because of this card specifically. I really wanted to tell that tale. In the art, you can actually see the double-sided coin. Its heads on both sides. Edgar knew what he was doing, and he let Sabine go off on his own. But a lot of people in the studio are like, why doesn't it flip a card? We have all these playtest and review meetings, and like, it should flip a coin. Like, it's a coin. I was like, I promise you, it's not worth the words to say, flip a coin, you win no matter what. Pick your choice. So we did ultimately go with this, and it plays well in the deck by, you can keep recurring it and getting that value, because not only are you reanimating your teammates, but there's some artifact recursion as well.
Okay. And then we can look at the Warring Triad.
The Warring Triad, I wanted to get in the deck because they're the pivotal moment of the story where that, like I mentioned, the Reanimate earlier, and they're just really exciting characters to have, but they're very large and like dominating in the game. Like they're this giant entity of source of all magic. So like I wanted to capture that. So they come down and they don't do anything at first. They're locked away. They're sealed. But then after you mill enough and fill up your graveyard, they do turn into that threat because a 5/5 flying trample haste for 3 mana, it's going to start beating down your opponents. Yeah.
I'm going to do this for each of the decks, Daniel. But you fill in the blank here for our fans. You will enjoy this deck if you like
Final Fantasy VI.
So true. So true.
6 is one of those decks that you like messing with your graveyard, you like getting that value back. You're just accruing value over time. You start with essentially nothing. That's like how the game is. Like everyone's scattered. They're currently in your deck. You're trying to get them to your graveyard, trying to get them to the battlefield. If you cast that Rise of the Dark Realms, you're probably going to win unless somebody has one of those sweepers Gavin was alluding to earlier, because you're going to have just a massive board as you go into that final fight of the game. So yeah, really, if you like engines and discarding and reanimating, that's what this deck's for.
All right. Now, since we haven't talked about this deck a ton, is there anything else that you want to talk about this deck that we didn't get a chance to show here?
Sure. There, if you watched the panel, there was a question in the game section that Gavin hosted that which Final Fantasy VI has the largest cast of characters. It has 14 playable characters in it. I got all of them in the deck. That was probably one of the challenges with this deck, is I really wanted to be true to fans, and I'm like, if you have a favorite character, I want you to find that character in this deck. We got like Strago and Realm sharing a card. That's how we were able to like kind of not have so many new cards and new legends there.
Oh, they got Shadow and Interceptor both in separate cards.
I did have to do that one just because that was such a cute pairing to do. You should never throw your dog, but if you do, it's really going to hurt your opponent. Angelo Cannon reference there too, I guess.
Final Fantasy, all about throwing dogs at your opponent.
That's what I've learned. So yeah, that was probably one of the challenges with this deck, and also just the creative of getting things back together. I know there's a stitched together card in there that is a reference of a memory and things like that, but not really reanimating from the dead.
Very cool. Again, all of these deck lists that we're going to be talking about can be found on dailymtg.com. But let's move on to our Final Fantasy VII deck with Cloud X Soldier at the helm. Tell us about this deck.
So this is obviously led by Cloud. This is an equipment deck, because he has a giant sword, and getting to the number 7 for some reason. I don't know why that number is there. But ultimately, when you equip your party members, you're going to get to power 7 or greater and unlock more abilities on those cards. So Cloud himself has haste magic right away. He gets an equipment cost for free. He gets to draw cards whenever you attack with equipped creatures, your party members. And then if he has 7 or more power, you get 2 treasures to start fueling those spells and other equip costs. Okay. So let's take a look in the deck.
Yeah. So first up, we have Barrett.
I wanted to talk about Barrett today because you might have seen job select equipment in the main set. I wanted to make a card that granted job select to things, but 1/1s didn't feel quite right for Barrett. He is a rebel leader, so I was like, hey, we got 4 Mirrodin cards people probably want to play in this Final Fantasy VII deck. Let's give them a token that also could be used for those cards. So this is kind of doing double duty there. So it's kind of granting 4 Mirrodin to all your equipment, so you get a 2/2 red rebel every time you play an equipment.
For Avalanche.
For Avalanche.
For Avalanche.
And at the beginning of combat, you get that free equipment to a rebel, so you get to kind of dodge the equip cost there as well.
All right, now I do have a question before we go on to more of these. So, this is a white, red, and green deck. A lot of the time, we see equipment decks be focused on white, red. What brought you to add green to this deck?
We really wanted to make sure that we had enough colors in the deck to capture a wide selection of characters, moments, etc. So that's kind of why we went with 3 colors for all the decks, and then even some we had to, as Gavin put, is a snapshot moment of a character. So we're not looking at Sephiroth today, who is in the deck, but we show him as red-white, whereas most people would say, man, that's a really mono-black type character, like the mono-black Sephiroth in there. Doing that let us capture certain characters that we otherwise couldn't. So the red-white Sephiroth is kind of where he's still that heroic, but he's starting to go a little emotional, a little crazy there in Nibelheim, etc. So we added green to get some of those things, represent like the planet, the life stream. I think Aerith probably could have been a mono white card if we designed a certain way, but it's a white-green card here, and things like that. Just more story moments and characters in the deck.
All right. Well, let's take a look at some of those story moments and items and men. So we've got Ultimate Magic, Holy Ultimate Magic, Meteor, and Livestream's Blessing.
Ultima adjacent,
Yeah,
we'll say.
Ultima
No,
adjacent.
we're on theme here with the Ultimate theme. No, I wanted to talk about these 3 cards because it's not often we make a 3-card cycle. But, it's kind of, if you only have 1 foretell card in the deck, it's kind of telling what you foretold. So I wanted to make sure we had multiple options. And I really like this set because there's something reactive, proactive, and destructive. So when I foretell one of these, you don't know which it is, and I would want to foretell all of them. So all of these have an ability when you cast it, and if it was cast from exile, either through its own foretell or other bottling shenanigans, as we learned from Gavin, you will get that secondary effect. So I really wanted these to connect as well. So Ultimate Magic Meteor does 7 damage to each creature. Hey, that number's showing up again. And you get to destroy an artifact or land that player controls if you cast from exile. Well, if you cast Holy, you can stop all of that. All your stuff gets indestructible, and then you prevent all the damage that would be dealt to you this turn, so it fogs you as well. And then Lifestream Blessing is just a very strong draw spell if you have strong creatures on the battlefield.
Next grouping of cards, we have an assortment of equipment.
Yeah, so I mentioned party members with FF6 earlier. I took the same approach with FF7, where I wanted to show all the party members in the deck, but then I went one step further. I was like, I want all the party members to have their equipment in this deck. It's an equipment-based deck. So between the reprints and the new cards, I showed a bunch of different characters' equipment. So you can put the Hero's Blade that features the Buster Sword onto Cloud. You can put Tifa's Lightning Greaves on her. Sword of the Animist for Aerith. And then a new card, Conformer Shuriken, 2 mana, 2 to equip. And whenever it attacks, the equipped creature attacks, you get to tap something down, so you throw your Shuriken at them, and you get counters equal to the difference in power there. And that's actually what the Conformer Shuriken does in the game. So for the new cards, I got to dive deep into the material and materia, if you will, and design these cards top down.
All right, and then we showed this off on the day of the debut, but this is the deck that has Secret Rendezvous in it.
Yes.
And then there are 3 other versions. So let's talk about this. What's going on here?
Right, so this represents the famous date scene at the Golden Saucer, where you, depending on your answers to different questions throughout the game, you get a different date. I chose Secret Rendezvous for the deck as a reprint for that moment. When going into these decks, I got to write down, I'm like, hey, I want this reprint. Here's a thought top line. We have a full top line meeting, but I had an Excel sheet going into it, be like, I think this could represent that. So that's what I picked here. And left unchecked, I probably would have chose Tifa as obviously for Cloud here. But Zakil, the Product Architect, came to me. He's like, can we just do all of them? I think he secretly wanted Aerith or Yuffie. I don't remember which. But we got all 4 thanks to him. So if you open the Commander deck, you will get the Tifa one, but then you can find the other 3 in Collector Boosters, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In your playthrough, have you done all of these scenarios?
I haven't done them all. I just played through Rebirth and Remake, and I ended up with Aerith. I think I wanted Tifa, but I certainly dodged Yuffie.
All right. Let's move on to... actually, before we go on to our next deck, you'll like this deck if...
You'll like this deck if you like big numbers, specifically 7, if you can get there. But bigger is better. This deck's a little straightforward with its concept, but there are some cool plays you can do, especially like with Tifa giving you extra combats and stuff. You really just want to assemble your party and get all of their numbers bigger, because they all get better if you can get their powers to 7 or greater with either your equipment, your triggered abilities, and things like that. And then you have cards like Sephiroth, who is just 7 power on his own. He doesn't need any equipment attached to him.
All right, very cool. All right, now let's move on to the Final Fantasy X deck featuring Tidus.
This is my personal favorite Final Fantasy game, so I gave this deck a lot of love for sure. Right away, I knew when I was designing this deck that I wanted to reference the Sphere Grid. That's the in-game system where you move counters around or move pebbles around on a board to grant new abilities and stats. And that's kind of what I did with the deck, with a counter theme. So Tidus himself, at the beginning of combat, will move those counters around to prep your party, and then he'll cheer when he hits. That's his first ability in the game. And that lets you add an extra counter for all those with Proliferate, and then draw a card for your trouble there to keep going.
All right. Our first card to talk about is Yuna's Decision.
So I hinted at this card a lot during the weekend, where I couldn't talk about the previews just yet, but this is my favorite card in the set. We got to design a lot of top-down story moments for this, the pilgrimage of Yuna, the love story between the two, etc. there, and this is that pivotal moment in the middle of the story where Yuna has to make the decision to either continue the pilgrimage or find another way once they learned exactly what was going to happen at the end. I think everyone who has played Final Fantasy X or even seen art from 10 knows this moment of them in the water. So if you continue the pilgrimage, you do have to sacrifice a creature, but you do get the powerful summon at the end for your sacrifice. But maybe you find another way, and if you find another way, you save your summoner and their loyal guardian. So just really wanted to capture that moment.
Very cool. All right, next we have Waka, Devoted Guardian.
There are a lot of Final Fantasy fans in the building, obviously, out in the world, as we saw this weekend and I've seen online. They have a lot of opinions on how to capture a character who might have so many facilities. They grow over time. That's why the snapshot moment really helps us capture specific characters. But I was really proud of this Waka design because it captured 3 elements of the character in one. He has reach because he's the character in your party that can hit flyers. He does not like technology and advancement in that way, so whenever he hits, he destroys an artifact that player controls while putting a counter on him to back up the theme. And he is the Blitzball captain, so he puts a counter on all your team members if he scores that goal.
All right. For those who don't know, what's Blitzball?
Blitzball is the in-game sport. It's kind of like soccer meets basketball, all underwater in a giant globe. A lot of people, when I was building this deck, they're like, Blitzball's going to be in it, right? And I was like, yeah, I got a whole Blitzball Stadium card for you, don't worry.
Well, yeah, and when you're playing through 10, like you might be like, ooh, I'm playing this epic battle with all these like great heroes and villains, and then you might lose 10 hours playing Blitzball. Like, that's just what happens.
It happens.
Right? I know the world's got this whole thing going on, but like my team's doing well, so we got to play some games.
Right.
And earlier, you kind of, as you were talking about a card, you mentioned summons offhand, but this deck is full of them.
Right. So we made the Saga creatures in the main set, and then we made the Saga creature frame I got to work on for that. Turns out they used lore counters, which is a counter and goes great in a counter deck. This whole story is about Yuna's journey and learning the summons. So summons made so much sense here, and with Tidus out, you can actually keep your summons around longer by moving those counters off. There's a lot of cards in the deck that also let you manipulate counters we won't be looking at today. But I just wanted to show all these new summons added to the deck because I wanted to make sure that if you were a fan of 10, and the main set didn't have you covered, you got your summons here. We don't have to go through all of them, but I know one was Summon Magus Sisters. You can't really control them in the game. Like their abilities are kind of random.
Yeah.
So I know that one was a fun one to work on, trying to get that randomness into the ability. And they're like, I just paid so much mana for this creature. I want to make sure the ability is good that I get for random. So you're going to be pretty happy if you get any of those off the random trigger.
All right. And then each of these decks obviously has a ton of fantastic story moments, but I know you wanted to highlight several from this deck.
Yeah, like I said, I got to get into the tier 3 moment with a lot of these reprints and new cards. And these are some of my favorites from the deck. The laughing scene being Inspiring Call was something I put in pretty early on. It just worked for the card and happened to be a Counters Matter theme. Endless Detour, if you remember from the game, is where Riku is scared of lightning in the Thunder Plains. So you were literally on an endless detour if she will not go back out there. An Offer You Can't Refuse is one of the very first moments in the game after Tidus is swept away from Xanarkand and meets Riku for the first time. And she basically doesn't let him leave. She's like, you're coming with me. And then a fond farewell for sure.
Yeah.
That hits. That hits hard.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as I thought of that moment, I wanted to, if you know this moment, just really touching moments before.
Oh, and that chat's going through its own roller coaster of emotions. Half of them are shouting, ha, 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 ha. And the other half are like, oh, God, this is so sad.
Wow, on the same slide we get ha, 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 and sadness.
Yep. But it is really cool that these decks can evoke those kinds of emotions.
Right, and people ask why I select certain reprints for decks, and a lot of them are on theme, but for Universes Beyond, it really is both obviously a reprintable name from Magic to that universe, but it is capturing those story moments within the colors.
All right. Okay, so you'll like this Final Fantasy X deck if you...
If you like gaining new abilities and moving little pebbles around. Fun fact with this, I actually had to make a new counter for this deck, which is the lore counter. So you'll get punch-out cards in these decks that I kept it to 6 unique counters to fit that punch-out card. But we had to put lore counters in here because you are moving those off of the Saga creatures and onto random characters a lot of the time, so tracking that was important. Yeah.
Okay. And then our fourth deck, we have Final Fantasy XIV, featuring, I do not know how to pronounce this.
Y'shtola.
Thank you, Y'shtola.
This deck was a fun one because when I learned I was leading the project, I'd never played Final Fantasy XIV before. So naturally, over the next month, I put 200 hours into this with my best friend from work, and it's such a journey. This is such a huge cast, and so you go play it for free. It's free up to a certain level. It's just such a great story. The community is so loving and welcoming. I've never been so heartwarmed, really, just by the journey of people willing to help you as you need, because it's an MMO, so they're just there for you. It's wild. But this deck is a non-creature spell matters kind of control deck, and that's what Y'shtola is doing. So if you're casting spells with mana value 3 or greater, you're going to trigger her to deal damage to everybody and gain life to keep yourself alive. And then if you've done enough each turn, you will draw cards to continue your onslaught of spells. Note, good to put lifelink on. She does do damage. She is mirroring the black mages in the main set.
Okay, let's learn a little bit more about this deck. We've got 2 characters here to talk through. Again, with names I'm not going to try to pronounce. Go for it.
This is Alice and Alphano. I will not try to say the last name. I will definitely mispronounce it. Leviu? Okay.
Sure.
These are the twins in the game. Very vital scions in the party. Someone on my team, Zach Franks, pitched these have to have partner. So from that moment on, every design I tried, I'm like, they really do need to have partner with. So you can play one and go find the other, or if they're your commander, you have both of them. And they are twins, so I kind of played up the second spell matters, which is you can find in blue-white a lot of times. So Alice, your second spell costs 2 less, and Alphano, you will draw a card when you cast your second spell as well.
All right. Speaking of spells, let's look at a couple of the spells in this deck. We've got Transpose and Dancer's Chakrams.
All right, these are, when I played through, I played as White Mage, Black Mage, Dancer, and a little bit of Ninja. Gavin, as you may have seen, had the White Mage White Mage Rod? Staff. And the Black Mage's Rod covered, so I was like, I want Dancer's Chakram. And I may have requested that the character shown was a blue-haired Mikote. I probably mispronounced that. But I definitely played my most of Dancer's Chakrams. And it mentions that lifelink in there, so you definitely want to get this out on your commander. And then Transpose is me representing the Black Mage that I played. It actually creates a Black Mage token, but it's got that rebound, so I really wanted to capture using your cooldown. So Transpose is an ability of the Black Mage. You cast it, it goes on rebound, and after a turn cycle, it's off its cooldown, so it comes back and you get to cast it again.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. And then our final cards to talk about, Champions from Beyond and Tome of Legends.
We didn't show Sphere Grid earlier, but it's also in the 10 deck. But I really wanted to capture some kind of meta moments, especially during my playthrough. So Champions from the Beyond, representing that duty finder if you've played 14, where you're waiting to form either your light party, which is 4 members, or a full party, which is 8, so you get the bonuses based on that. But you can put as much mana into X as you want to make those parties right away if you're later in the game. Or you can play it on 2 and just hope your party forms for your journey. And then Tome of Legends is that wondrous tales where you have weekly missions to go on. And as soon as I got to that part of the game, I was like, oh, I have to capture this. And I'm just a fan of Tome of Legends in general.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun card.
Yeah.
All right. You'll enjoy this deck if...
You'll enjoy this deck if you like managing your cooldowns. Just really controlling the board and a non-creature matters theme. Like you have the job selects to create creatures for you, but a lot of times you're casting spells that don't immediately put a creature on the board. You're just controlling the board. You're accruing value and doing damage over time. You're really draining the table instead of hitting with like big characters like you would in Final Fantasy VII or probably 10.
All right. Okay, so those are the 4 decks. Again, you can see the full deck lists, cards, all of that information on dailymtg.com. Once we work out some kinks in the background, we'll have videos for each of the 4 decks going up on YouTube. But definitely check those out. That's all we have for today. It's definitely not all we have for Final Fantasy previews. This is a huge set. Fans are incredibly excited for it, and so we're doing a ton of previews. This is the first of 3 weekly MTG shows where we will have previews. Next week, we will be back with Zakil Gordon and Dylan Devaney to talk more Final Fantasy previews. So stay tuned. check out that Where to Find article if you want to see where more previews are coming and on what days. There's so much cool stuff yet to come. I know these two are still fighting back, holding their tongues on a lot of things, but we're going to get the opportunity to talk about a lot of it over the next 3 weeks. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.